Sri Sachidananda Sadguru Sainath Maharaj ki Jai. Ramana Maharshi, his life, Chapter 3, Departure for Arunachala. When I left home, I was like a speck swept on by a tremendous flood. I knew not my body or the world, whether it was day or night. Ramana now faced a continual conflict between the demands placed upon him by his everyday life in the form of family and teachers and absorption in the self, which was now almost constant. This conflict could not last forever, and on 29th August 1896, approximately 6 weeks after his enlightenment, it finally came to a head. One day he had failed to study properly some lesson on English grammar. As punishment for this, he had been given the task of copying out the lesson 3 times. When he came to the third copy, his mind revolted against this soulless mechanical exercise. He pushed the work aside, sat upright in yoga posture, closed his eyes, and started to meditate. His elder brother Nagaswami, who had been watching him all the time, cried out ill temperedly, "Why should one who behaves thus retain all this?" The meaning was that for one who behaves like a sadhu, family life and school made no sense anymore, and he had no right to the comforts of the domestic life. It was not the first time his brother had made such remarks and reproaches. But this time the shot went home. Ramana saw that what his brother said was true. At the same moment, the thought of Arunachala took possession of him. He understood that the strong attraction which he felt was a call and decided there and then to set off for Arunachala. He knew, however, that his family would not let him go if he were to explain his plans to them. So he devised a scheme which would enable him to leave secretly. He told his brother that he had to attend a special class in electricity at school at 12 noon. Nagaswami, who had no idea of what was going on his younger brother's mind, said, "Well then, do not fail to take 5 rupees from the box below and pay my college fees." Ramana went downstairs, ate quickly, and obtained the 5 rupees from his uncle's wife. He, of course, told her nothing about his plan. He later reflected that this white lie, which was the only one he told during his life, was necessary to enable him to come to Tiruvannamalai. In an old atlas, he searched out the nearest railway station to Tiruvannamalai and saw that it was Tindivanam. 3 rupees would suffice for the fare, he thought. He wrote a short parting note and left it along with the remaining 2 rupees. His letter read, "I have, in search of my father and in obedience to his command, started from here. This is only embarking on a virtuous enterprise. Therefore, none need grieve over this affair. To trace this out, no money need be spent. Your college fees has not yet been paid. Rupees 2 are enclosed herewith." Thus, taken from Narasimhaswamy Self Realization, page 28. The letter changes from the personal I to the impersonal this and ends with a long line instead of a signature. From this day on, he never signed with his name again. When he was asked later why he did not sign his letter, he answered there was nothing deliberate or conscious about it, simply that the ego did not rise up to sign it. So, at around 12 noon on this fateful Saturday, Ramana left his family and Madurai to set off to take the train to Tiruvannamalai, which was approximately 250 miles away. He was never to return. The railway station was almost 1 mile away. According to the timetable, the train to Tindivanam left at 11:45. Though he hurried as fast as he could, he expected, of course, to be too late, but fortunately, the train was also late. He bought the ticket to Tindivanam for 2 rupees 13 annas, boarded the train, and lost himself in thoughts on Arunachala. He paid no attention to either his fellow passengers or to the beautiful and varied landscape through which he travelled. A Maulavi, a Muslim well versed in religious lore, who was sitting in his compartment, finally asked him where he was travelling. A short conversation ensued in which he learned that there was also a railway station at Tiruvannamalai and that he needed to change trains at Villupuram. The train reached Tiruchirappalli at sunset, and as he felt hungry, he bought two of the big country pears which grow in the hilly regions of southern India. But after the first mouthful, he felt full and had no desire to eat any more. As he had always had a healthy appetite, this was something quite new to him. Again, he sank into the kind of waking sleep samadhi. In this way, he arrived at Villupuram at around 3 a.m., where he alighted. Having hardly any money left, he decided to walk the remaining distance. At daybreak, he started out to town to search for the road to Tiruvannamalai. He was too shy to ask the way, so tired and hungry from his search, he finally entered a hotel for food. He had to wait until noon, however, to receive a meal. The hotel keeper told him that Mambalapattu was a railway station on the way to Tiruvannamalai. The hotel keeper told him that Mambalpattu was a railway station on the way to Tiruvannamalai. Ramana went back to the railway station and purchased a third class ticket to Mambalpattu, for which he had just enough money. He arrived there that same afternoon at 3 p.m. There were still approximately 30 miles remaining, which he had to cover on foot. Under the burning August sun, he presumably followed the railway track so as not to lose his way. In the evening, he had covered around about 10 miles and reached the temple of Arayaninallur, Arayaninallur, which is situated on a big rocky plateau. From here, Arunachala is visible in the distance. Exhausted, Ramana rested at the outer temple gate. The temple was soon opened for worship, puja. Ramana took his seat in the open pillared hall and sank again into samadhi, while the priest and the faithful celebrated the puja. As he sat like this in a dazzling light, as he sat like this, a dazzling light suddenly appeared to him, flooding the whole temple. At first, he thought this must be an appearance of the deity there. He rose to look in the inner sanctuary where the image of God was situated, but all was dark there. So he found that the light had no natural origin, but as suddenly as it had happened, it vanished. Ramana sank back into samadhi. He had no idea that he was sitting next to the statue of Sambandar, one of the 63 Tamil saints. It is written that this saint, who lived in early 7th century AD, once saw a similar light at the same place. Soon he was disturbed by the temple cook who wanted to lock the temple doors. Ramana asked for some food and to be allowed to spend the night there. Both were refused. The other visitors suggested that he should come with them to Kilur, a place approximately 6 furlongs away, where they were going to celebrate the puja again. There he could be given something to eat, so Ramana accompanied the group. At the Virateshwara temple in Killur, the priest celebrated the second service of the evening there together with the faithful, and Ramana again sank into samadhi. By the time the ceremony came to an end, it was already about 9 p.m. Again he asked the priest for something to eat from the offered food prasad, and again his request was refused. The temple drummer who had been watching the young Brahmin felt sorry for him and said to the priest, "Sir, give him my share." There was no drinking water available in the temple, so Ramana was sent to the house of a neighboring scholar, Shastri. He was totally exhausted, and while he was waiting there for water, holding his leaf full of cooked rice, he either fell asleep on his feet or fainted and fell to the ground. Some minutes later, when he awoke, a crowd of curious onlookers are gathered around him. The rice was scattered on the dirty road. Because nothing of the blessed prasad was allowed to be spoiled, Ramana collected each grain of it, ate, drank the water which had been brought to him, and laid down on the bare ground to sleep. The next morning, Monday, 31st August 1896, Gokulashtami, Sri Krishna's birthday, one of the main Hindu festivals throughout India, was celebrated in the temples and houses of the believers. Tiruvannamalai was still around 20 miles away. Again, Ramana could not find the right road, and being exhausted and hungry, he felt that he would not be able to get to Tiruvannamalai on foot. He needed something to eat and some money for the train. He reflected that his gold earrings set with rubies, such earrings are worn by Brahmins, must have been worth about 20 rupees. The idea arose that he should pawn them. But how and where? Finally, he went at random to the house of a man named Muthukrishna Bhagavatar and there begged for food. The dame of the house was taken with the appearance of young Brahmin, and as it was Sri Krishna's birthday, she warmly welcomed the guest and served him a copious meal. Although he felt full after the first mouthful, she pressed him with motherly care to eat everything. Then Ramana asked the head of the household if he would give him 4 rupees in exchange of his earrings. To prevent all suspicion, he found himself forced to tell him the following story. He said he was on a pilgrimage and has lost all his luggage on the way, and in order to be able to continue on his travels, he now needed to pawn his earrings. Muthu Krishna Bhagavatar examined the earrings, finding them to be genuine, gave the youth the 4 rupees. He noted his address on a slip of a paper and asked for his address in return. Then the couple asked him to stay for lunch. Ramana agreed and stayed with them until midday. The housewife gave him a packet of sweetmeats for his journey, which had been originally prepared for Sri Krishna as a food offering but which had not been yet offered. He had promised to come back and redeem the earrings, but as soon as he left their house, he tore to pieces the slip of the paper with the address. Of whatever value the earrings might have been, there was no question of him returning for them. As there was no train to Tiruvannamalai that day, he spent the following night at Tirukoyur railway station near Killur. He spent on the platform with the untouched packet of sweetmeats in his pocket. Early in the morning of the 1st September, he bought a ticket to his final destination at a cost of 4 annas and a few hours later arrived at Tiruvannamalai railway station, from where he walked to the holy mountain of Arunachala. He was to remain there for the rest of his life. Jai Ramana, Jai Sai Master.